2025 could bring some shocking changes. Imagine a powerful dragon reshaping global power, humans communicating mind to mind through telepathy, and Europe facing a future with drastically fewer people. Baba Vanga's predictions are eerie, but are they right? Now, I don't think Baba Vanga had a thing for mythological creatures, but she did tell of a quote dragon rising to power in the world. Not the scaly, fire-breathing kind though. The dragon she was describing was much more metaphorical. Many believe this supposed dragon represents a powerful alliance between three countries: Russia, India, and China. Baba Vanga spoke of a force that would unite these nations, creating a powerful bloc that could dominate the world. With Russia's land and military strength, India's growing tech industry, and China's economic power, it's easy to see how an alliance between them could cause quite a ripple effect. Baba Vanga didn't get into specifics about what this would mean for the world, but you can imagine it could lead to some pretty major shifts in power. If this dragon rises, expect some big geopolitical drama on the horizon. Could this be the precursor to a third world war? Vanga hinted at the possibility of major global conflict in 2025, and if this dragon rises as she predicted, we may be looking at heightened tensions and struggles for global dominance. Now, when you've got big countries uniting like this, other world powers may feel threatened. Vanga predicted that the rise of this dragon would lead to major global conflicts. Fun. You know what? Hey, it's a tradition around here. We reign in the new year by talking about all the ways it may be one of the last. And in this case, you can pretty much guarantee that when a big new power alliance emerges, the existing power players aren't just gonna sit back and watch. Think about it. Back in the day when the Soviet Union started getting stronger, the world held its breath, waiting for the potential fallout. Same with China and Russia today. Tensions have been building for years, so when you throw in a huge alliance that challenges the established order, things are bound to get tense. Think proxy wars, cyber warfare, and maybe even full-on military confrontations. Vanga basically saw the dragon's rise as a precursor to all kinds of international struggles, especially when the new powers start flexing their muscle and threatening to shift the balance too much. Then there's the whole issue of Europe. Vanga saw Europe's population shrinking as a result of a series of very unfortunate events, likely a result of the aforementioned international struggles. She was not just talking about a drop in birth rates. Baba predicted a massive exodus thanks to all the chaos that would come from wars and conflict. As countries get more aggressive and tensions rise, people are gonna have to pack up and leave. Refugees from destroyed cities and displaced people would flood out of Europe looking for safety elsewhere. Supposedly entire cities could become ghost towns. If this happens, Europe could eventually end up being sparsely populated compared to other places, and it'd be hard to recover from that level of disruption. 2025 and onward is apparently not going to be happy times for the continent, according to Baba Vanga. Alright, let's get into something less depressing but still wild: human telepathy. Quite a bold claim, but supposedly she predicted World War II and the Chernobyl disaster and a whole other list of things. Vanga said that by 2025 humans could develop the ability to communicate telepathically, so mind to mind. No more texting, zooming, or phone calling. For the last 120 people on the planet who still call each other on the phone, you could just send thoughts directly into someone else's head. Now, this sounds pretty fantastical, but is it really? There are elements of this already. Elon Musk's company Neuralink, for example, is working on brain-computer interfaces that let people control technology with their minds. They've got this implant that's able to allow people to control computer cursors, play video games, and even do 3D design all with their brains. They've done this with real people now, 3 in total, and they're planning more implants over the course of the year. It's not exactly telepathy, but it's getting close. If we can connect directly to machines, is it really that much of a stretch to think that someday we'll be able to connect to other people's minds as well? Baba Vanga predicted that 2025 would be the year we make huge leaps in lab-grown organs. No more waiting for organ donors or worrying about finding a match. Instead, scientists will be able to grow organs in labs and deliver them to people who need them. Lab-grown kidneys, hearts, lungs, whatever you need. Now, we're not quite there yet, but we're pretty close. Think about it. We've already grown things like skin and BLOO DoD vessels in labs, and researchers are making big strides in the organ growing department as well. Imagine a future where you could just get a new organ, like a fresh replacement for your liver or your kidneys, grown just for you and ready to go. This kind of breakthrough could change everything about healthcare and life expectancy. We could see people living longer, healthier lives. Some experts are even saying we could push life expectancy past 120 years if this technology takes off. Now let's get into the really out there stuff though. Baba Vanga also predicted that by 2025 humanity would make contact with extraterrestrial life. Some say we've already made contact. Look at all the UAPs hovering over New Jersey the last couple months. We got a video on that. Check that out on the channel after this one. But what I'm really saying here is that it'll be definitive, 100% confirmed contact on a large scale. Now before you start picturing little green men standing in your backyard, just take a step back. Vanga didn't give much detail on how this would go down. She did say it could cause a, quote, global crisis or apocalypse. Key word there though is could. I think we already assume that aliens showing up could cause a bit of a problem, but I mean, maybe not. The really odd detail about this prediction is that apparently these extraterrestrials are set to introduce themselves to us during a major sporting event. So maybe this year, instead of just waiting for the Super Bowl commercials, I'll actually make my father proud for once and tune into the whole game. Alright, back to the destruction though. Baba Vanga saw a lot of it coming our way, in the form of not just international conflict, but natural disasters. Massive ones, like eruptions of dormant volcanoes, huge floods, earthquakes, especially along the US West Coast. Pretty much all our brains are going to the same place right now. California. Wildfires have been absolutely devastating and the death toll is rising. Now, some are saying there could be arson involved here. Apparently people have been accused, but at this point we really don't know for sure. I don't want to focus on this too much here, just had to mention that it is going on. All these disasters, especially the big ones Vanga was predicting, could lead to something worse, an environmental meltdown on a massive scale. Imagine the Earth getting hit with massive floods, more wildfires, and earthquakes all at once. It would make our current problems look like a walk in the park. Rising seas, extreme weather, widespread destruction, everything could be in chaos. And let's face it, with experts saying climate change is already making natural disasters more frequent and intense, this kind of environmental collapse feels pretty plausible. Whole ecosystems could collapse, and it might become harder and harder for humanity to survive in areas that get hit hardest. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Baba Vanga also saw a big breakthrough coming in the form of energy. She predicted that by 2025, scientists would discover some kind of new energy source, something clean, limitless, and unlike anything we've ever seen before. This could change everything. No more reliance on fossil fuels, no more energy crisis. Think about it, a world where we have unlimited clean energy powering everything from homes to spaceships? Makes me wonder if those aliens showing up during the Super Bowl halftime show may have a little gift for us. Maybe we'll come up with something ourselves though, a scientific miracle if you will. Either way, this discovery could be the key to solving a lot of our problems, and it might even help save the planet from the environmental chaos Baba Vanga saw coming as well. Finally though, Baba Vanga made a pretty chilling prediction about the future of technology, specifically around artificial intelligence and automation. She predicted that by 2025, AI would reach a level where it could significantly disrupt human society, potentially even leading to the replacement of many human jobs, as if that hasn't happened already. This prediction is, of course, very relevant today, as we see AI and automation technology evolving at a rate we just don't seem equipped to keep up with. We're already seeing AI being used in everything from customer service to advanced research and even creative fields like writing and art generation. What Vanga predicted is that the rise of machines capable of doing work once done by humans would have a big effect on society. As machines become more sophisticated, human workers will find themselves displaced in industries like manufacturing, retail, even healthcare. Imagine robots performing surgeries, running entire factories, leaving human workers out of jobs. This could lead to widespread economic collapse and social unrest. Point is, Vanga's prediction about AI taking over human roles isn't too far off from the reality that we're heading into. We could see entire industries transformed in just a few years. Ryo Tatsuki, often called Japan's version of Baba Vanga, has made a new prediction, and it's not good. She says that in July of 2025, which is coming up for those of you who aren't sure what month or year it is, but she says it's going to be a huge natural disaster triggered by an underwater volcanic eruption. She had a dream where this eruption happens somewhere south of Japan, and it causes the ocean to start boiling before sending this massive tsunami toward multiple countries. She believes Japan, Taiwan, Indonesia, and the Northern Mariana Islands will be in the path of destruction. Now, what's the big deal about this? People have nightmares all the time. My God, with all the bad dreams I have, if I ever thought they were going to come true, I would just never leave the house. But what's got people's attention is that Tatsuki's made accurate predictions before, and her dreams often come with very specific timelines. She believes that her predictions come true in time frames that are divisible by 5, so something happening in 2025 fits this pattern. She also doesn't just write down her predictions, she draws them as manga. That's how most of her warnings get out to the public. In this particular dream, she saw the ocean bubbling and steaming before the water pulled back and came crashing back as a tsunami. She hasn't said exactly where the volcano is, but given the location, people have been speculating that it could be related to the Pacific Ring of Fire, where a lot of seismic activity already happens. Whether people believe her or not, this latest prediction has stirred up a lot of attention, especially because of her past track record. So let's talk a little bit more about who she is. Ryo Tatsuki is a manga artist who says that she's been having dreams about future events since she was young. She doesn't call herself a psychic, but she does believe some of her dreams seem to show real things that are going to happen, and she usually documents them through manga. Her most well-known work is a book called The Future I Saw, which she released back in 1999. At first, it didn't get much attention, but that changed in 2011 when people noticed she'd written about a disaster happening March of that year, right before the real tsunami hit Japan. That's when people started digging into her older predictions and realized there was a few others that seemed to line up with major events. Since then, she's built a following, with fans tracking what she dreams and how it might be connected to current events. She says her predictions usually come true in time spans that are divisible by 5 days, 5 years, 15 years, so on. She's not out giving press conferences or trying to prove anything. She just draws what she sees and lets people decide what they want to believe. Over time, her mix of storytelling and strange accuracy has earned her the nickname Japan's Baba Vanga. And now, whenever she puts out a new warning, people tend to take notice, cause, hey, you never know. The first prediction that Ryo Tatsuki ever claimed to have had was about Freddie Mercury. According to her, she had a dream on November 24th of 1976, where she saw a clear image of Mercury dying suddenly. She took note of the dream, but at the time she didn't think much of it. I mean, people dream about celebrities all the time. I certainly do. Not about them dying, but I still wake up in a cold sweat, if you know what I mean. Anyway, exactly 15 years later, in 1991, again on November 24th, Freddie Mercury actually died. That moment really stuck with her, and it's what made her start taking her dreams more seriously. From then on, she started recording them and looking for patterns. It also started her theory that the events she dreams about happen in cycles that divide evenly by 5. While some people say it's just a coincidence, others point to this as the beginning of her long list of eerily timed predictions. She said in interviews that she never expected this dream to mean anything, but after Mercury's death, she started wondering if maybe her subconscious was picking up on something. It's not the most dramatic prediction compared to her later ones, but it's what set everything in motion. In 1992, Tatsuki had another dream that she later connected to a real-world event. This time, she dreamt that she was walking down a long corridor inside a palace. At the end of the hallway, there was a large portrait of a blonde woman holding a baby. The name written on the painting was Diana. At the time, she didn't immediately think of Princess Diana, but she wrote the dream down, and 5 years later, to the day, Princess Diana died in a car crash in Paris. Looking back on it, she felt like the dream was some kind of warning. The imagery of the palace, the woman holding the baby, the name, it all seemed so specific. And once again, this dream fit into her divisible by 5 timeline rule, which she uses to try and narrow down when her visions might come true. She said that not all her dreams are this clear or symbolic, but in this case, it stuck with her. After Diana's death, people started going back through Tatsuki's earlier work and finding other dreams that seemed oddly timed. The Diana dream is often mentioned by her followers as one of her most compelling, especially because it involved such a well-known figure and landed on a precise anniversary. In 1995, Ryo Tatsuki had a dream where an old man led her to a place with a cracked ground. The dream was simple, but something about it just felt off, so she wrote it down. After waking up, she noted that the word cracked really stood out, and she connected it to the city of Kobe, writing that it might happen there, either in 15 days or 15 years. Again, that number 5 shows up. Well, a mere 15 days later, and the Great Hanshin earthquake hit Kobe on January 17th of 1995. Over 5,000 people died, tens of thousands were injured, and the city was left in ruins. It was Japan's second deadliest earthquake of the 20th century. This prediction is one of her most talked about because of how close she got to the actual event and timing. Unlike her earlier dreams, this one had a real-world location tied to it from the start, and it happened quickly after she recorded it. For a lot of people in Japan, this is when they really started paying attention to her. The timing, the location, the death toll, it made it hard to miss. Even now, it's one of the strongest pieces people use when defending the idea that Tatsuki might actually be tapping into something more than just coincidence. Ryo Tatsuki's most famous prediction, though, and the one that really pushed her into the public eye, was the 2011 tsunami. Back in 1999, she published her manga The Future I Saw, which at one point mentions that the quote great disaster will occur on March 2011. At the time, it didn't get much attention, but after the March 11th, 2011 disaster, well, people did. That day, a massive undersea earthquake triggered a tsunami that slammed into Japan's coastline. Nearly 20,000 people were killed, and the Fukushima nuclear plant suffered a meltdown. The scale of destruction was massive. The fact that she'd written the month and year of the disaster more than a decade earlier was enough to make headlines. Her book sold out, people started posting scans online, and suddenly everyone wanted to know what else she'd written. Some said it was just a lucky guess, but it is kinda nuts that she predicted both the month and year of such a major event. This prediction, more than any other, gave her the Japan's Baba Vanga title, and it's the reason people are now paying close attention to what she says is coming next. But this next one probably hits a lot closer to home because it affected the entire globe. Long before 2020 flipped the world upside down, Ryo Tatsuki wrote about a mysterious virus in her manga The Future I Saw. One of her entries mentioned that in quote 25 years, an unknown virus will come in 2020, will disappear after peaking in April, and appear again 10 years later. Well, of course, like clockwork, 2020 hit, and the world faced one of the biggest global health crises in recent history. Her wording was eerily close, the timing dead on, and the part about it peaking in April, well, that's exactly when a lot of countries saw their first major wave start to calm down. What's got people really on edge now is the second part of her prediction. She says the virus will return in 10 years. If she's right, that puts us somewhere around 2030 for another round. Some think it could be a mutation of the same virus. Others think it might be a brand new one altogether. Either way, people who followed her predictions aren't brushing this off, especially not after she nailed the year and even the month of the first wave. Out of all her predictions, this one feels the most personal because everyone lived through it and nobody wants a repeat. Whether it's fate, coincidence, or something stranger, her track record certainly has people watching the calendar.
The sky is falling and the world is ending. We've heard it all before, but this time it might just be true. Why? Because Baba Vanga said it. And considering that she accurately predicted the 2022 droughts and floods, the Twin Tower disaster, the Kirsch disaster, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and the death of Indira Gandhi and her own death, I'm inclined to believe her. Right before she died, she made the prediction that the world would come to an end in the year 5079. Of course, this comes after the resolution of the world hunger crisis in 2025, something to immediately look forward to, and organ transplants that extend the average lifespan to at least 100 years old in the year 2046. Oh, and of course, communism's return in 2076. But it appears that even with time travel becoming a thing in the year 2304, the world's end is set in stone on for the 6th millennia.
Baba Vanga also predicted that things would be getting pretty bad for Europe starting in 2024, mostly due to rises in terror attacks, leading to a change of power in Europe and eventually leading to many Europeans being displaced. I remember first bringing this up in a video months back, and it's actually kind of eerie talking about it now with the recent incidents in Moscow. Is it just a complete coincidence, or could it be connected? Share your thoughts down below as always. It is kind of creepy though that Baba Vanga even predicted there would be an attempt on the president of Russia's life in 2024, which is of course Vladimir Putin. Apparently the attacker will be someone from Russia though. Now this is yet to be seen, but if that does happen, I might start second guessing how I feel about this whole Baba Vanga having seen into the future thing.
Speaking of those attacks, James, Baba Vanga has predicted that many of them will actually end up utilizing biological weaponry, which is completely terrifying because biological weapons are generally airborne, meaning that you don't need to be caught in any kind of direct line of attack to be infected by them. All you really have to do is breathe in. Have you ever heard of anthrax, botulism, smallpox, the plague? Well, each and every one of those have been used as biological weapons in the past. And while the symptoms have varied, the results have remained the same. Mass death, caused by either poisoning or the rapid spread of disease. I really hope Baba got this one wrong, and most things on the list wrong, because I really don't feel like being scared of leaving my house again, due to fear of death by inhalation.
Alright, so these last couple points definitely play into her predictions of political upheaval said to soon start taking place. One of Baba Vanga's famous prophecies told of a, quote, strong dragon that will seize humanity. What is this dragon exactly? Well, many have interpreted this to mean China, that the nation's power will continue to strengthen on a global level, completely changing the power dynamics of the world. And will things go smoothly? I mean, probably not. The idea here is that there will be another world war before the dust settles and power has changed hands. And I don't know, I think this could easily just be paranoid fear-mongering, but it's not like war never happens either. So hold on to your butts, I guess.
Let's look on the bright side. An uprising of terror, biological weapons deployment, political upheaval, which obviously results in the inevitable economic crash. Did I say bright side? I meant to say we're screwed. As if the economy wasn't already far gone enough, Baba has predicted that things will only get worse as the year progresses onwards. Rising debts, mass inflation, heightened mortgages, and an increase in poverty are apparently all safe bets for our 2024 bingo cards. Which makes sense, and I honestly don't actually think we needed Baba for this one. I mean, come on, there's like 5 major wars already going on, and a crap ton of international conflict and tension. I'm actually scared though about how this year is going to progress. I mean, we could be looking at lost access to credit, shutdown of banks, and demand for goods far outweighing our supply. I know this is extremist, but you know, that's what you're here for. And for those of you feeling really good about recently securing some appreciating investments, you'll probably be waiting just a bit longer than you expected on those returns, if they even come at all, that is.
Baba Vanga also predicted first contact with aliens very soon, possibly even in 2024. Now, and I know many claim that aliens already are among us. I can't say for certain, I've never seen an alien, but the prediction is really referring to alien contact being a globally recognized thing, like undeniable. Now, will this be good or bad? That remains to be seen, but we're definitely seeing an increase in UFO sightings and acknowledgements from the government that unidentified flying objects are a thing, so this one actually seems kinda likely. I, for one, very much hope that first contact with aliens happens. I really like having the option of just talking and conversing with something that isn't human for once, that can actually talk back. I mean, you talk to your pets all the time, right? Unless, of course, aliens turn out to be ill-intentioned, but, you know, plenty of ill-intentioned humans out there as well. I think if aliens did turn up, we'd be far too distracted dealing with them to be raging war on each other. It might still lead to the destruction of the entire human race if the aliens decided to attack, but at least we wouldn't be attacking each other for once, and that would be kind of nice.
Okay guys, this list has been kind of depressing so far. I mean, aliens are pretty cool, but one of the points literally outlined the possibility of falling into a Great Depression. But not all of Baba Vanga's predictions are bad, In fact, this one's pretty good. A cure for both cancer and Alzheimer's disease has been predicted by Baba Vanga. I'm really hoping this one is true and that most of the other ones aren't, because this would be an amazing medical advancement that, in my opinion, really should have and could have and probably did come sooner, but the pharmaceutical industry is kind of greedy. So with that being said, these treatments will most likely be incredibly expensive, but I'm trying to stay positive. Earlier this year, the Russian government put out a statement saying, "We have come very close to the creation of so-called cancer vaccines and immunomodulatory medicines of a new generation." And they added, "I hope that they will be effectively used as methods of individual therapy." This is great news, but at the same time, considering the ongoing conflict, I wouldn't be holding my breath anytime too soon.
Next we have Baba Vanga's Mars prophecy. So will the stuff we've listed so far wipe us out completely? Well, the 5079 thing seems like the real end, but most of the other stuff might just put us on the brink of destruction. Because further into the future, we may form a colony on Mars. This colony will grow to such power, though, that it may become a superpower of its own, demanding independence from Earth, leading to a conflict that will rage between 2170 to 2256. A very oddly specific prophecy, one that me and you will likely never actually get to see play out unless human life expectancy drastically improves over the coming decades. A cancer vaccine might help with that. I certainly hope humans will have gotten beyond petty squabbling by the time we've started building colonies on other planets, though, but unfortunately, I don't know, I wouldn't put it past us.
Cyber attacks are nothing new, but they might be getting a whole new meaning if Baba Vanga's prediction for an uprising in cyber criminality is true. Baba said that in 2024, not only would we be seeing an increase in common cyber attacks, such as phishing scams, ransomware, malware, and information stealing, but also an increase in some much more serious offenses as well. Baba predicted that the targets of these cyber attacks are going to get a lot more communal, with attackers going after communities and nations rather than the individual. She believes that the main targets will be power grids and water treatment plants, which of course lines up with all of the other predictions of chaos and terror, as these attacks would substantially increase threats to national security. Honestly, I feel like there's just no winning these days, unless of course you find yourself a plot of land in the middle of nowhere next to a source of fresh water, obviously. Oh, and get yourself equipped with an in-house distillation and irrigation system and solar panels, and you have to have a farm full of animals and crops to feed the animals and a whole bunch of other survival stuff. Am I saying we're screwed? Well, I'm not saying we're not.
And we're gonna finish off the list with a terrible global disease. The joy. Yeah, this would be my least favorite way for the world to end. At least with aliens and like war, you can see your attackers. Disease is so much more insidious. You can't actually see it coming. You can't fight it. Apparently, sometime this year, according to Baba Vanga anyway, Donald Trump is going to contract a terrible illness that will cause him brain trauma and deafness. Whether or not this is referring to the same illness that will sweep its way across the globe remains to be seen. All I do know is that if Trump starts complaining about not being able to hear Sleepy Joe, I'm just gathering up a bunch of canned food, I'm driving as far away as I can, and I'm digging an underground bunker to protect myself from this disease, whatever biological weapons are going to unleash themselves on the planet, whatever alien species is coming to crash the party, or whatever powerful dragon country is going to swoop across the earth to take it all over.
First up, we have Baba Vanga's prediction of Oumuamua, an asteroid being sent to Earth by forces that are beyond our world. Baba Vanga made the prediction before her death on August 11th of 1996, which is insane considering the fact that Oumuamua wasn't discovered until October 19th of 2017. Oumuamua is the first interstellar object to be detected passing through our solar system, interstellar, meaning that it originated in a solar system other than our own. It is debated whether or not the object is an asteroid or a meteor, but what is clear to scientists is that this foreign object is huge, 400 meters long, and getting closer to Earth each and every day. Baba Vanga Vanga predicts that one day the object will collide with Earth, but not only that, she believes that it was sent by aliens to assess human cells on Earth, which is quite fitting when you take into consideration the English translation of Oumuamua, which means a messenger from afar arriving first. Could this asteroid possibly be the foreshadowing of alien life arriving on our planet? Let me know what you think down below. Next up, we have Baba Vanga's prediction of a lot of major earthquakes happening in 2024, with some taking place in places they generally wouldn't occur. Sound familiar? Just 4 days ago, on Friday, April 5th, New York was hit by a massive earthquake that had a magnitude of 4.8 and caused the Statue of Liberty to shake profusely. It lasted about 30 seconds, and local resident Charita Walcock described the feeling as being like in the center of a drum circle. The last time New York was hit by a large earthquake was in 2011 with a much higher magnitude, albeit of 5.8. What's really strange though is that generally earthquakes occur where two tectonic plates meet, so how the hell did one occur smack dab in the middle of a tectonic plate in New York? I'm not a scientist, so I really have no clue, but what I do know is that Baba Vanga's prediction is looking a lot scarier when you take that fact into perspective. Not only that, but this year alone, just 3 months and a few days in, we've already seen 143 6.0 to 6.9 magnitude earthquakes, 1,580 5.0 to 5.9, and 15,817 4.0 to 4.9 earthquakes. And the Earth is cracking, so not overly promising for the future, if you ask me. Next up, we have Baba Vanga's prediction of Earth's orbit changing, which will lead us to an increase in global climate change and extreme glacial defrosting. This is both new and not new. Why? Well, because we have known for a long time that over time the Earth's orbit does slowly change due to gravitational pulls in the atmosphere that cause the orbit to become either more circular or elliptical, which is basically just a fancy word for oval because the word ovular was already taken. Anyways, the existence of changes within Earth's orbit was discovered in 1989 by scientific expert Jacques Lascar after Baba Vanga had made her initial prediction. Fast forward to 2024, while the Earth's orbit has barely changed, it has changed, and we are experiencing glacial defrosting at a rate that has never been observed before, which is pretty nerve-wracking, especially when you consider this next point. Baba Vanga predicted the discovery of a frozen virus in Siberia in 2022 that would eventually lead to another global pandemic. In 2022, a group of French scientists discovered, studied, and revived an ancient virus known as the zombie virus that they found buried in a frozen lake in Russia. The virus was discovered as a result of, guessed it, melting ice in the Antarctic region. And after tens of thousands of years of the ancient virus lying dormant, scientists thought it would be a good idea to revive it. Really? Lucky for us, this particular virus only attacks single-celled organisms, but who's to say the next one they find and decide to carelessly reanimate won't lead to the destruction of life as we know it. Say it with me, we do not reanimate things that could kill us. We don't. Well, according to Baba Vanga, did predict that sometime in 2024, Putin's reign over Russia would end after meeting his death at the hands of someone close to him, perhaps someone working on one of his political or military teams. According to Vladimir Putin himself, at this point in time he has already survived 6 separate assassination attempts on his life since 2002. While that may very well be the case, according to Baba Vanga, it is unlikely that he will survive many more. Moving a bit further into the future, we have the prediction that 23 years after Europe becomes Islamic in 2043, the United States of America will reach a major milestone in weapons technology. In 2066, the US will create a weapon called the environmental destructor that will freeze everything in its path. Whether or not this means that the United States will have created technology that allows them to act like Frozone from The Incredibles, literally causing everything in its path to turn to ice, or if the weapon simply just destroys areas causing their ability to support life to become frozen in time, remains to be seen. Personally, I don't like the sound positive either. And again, like most predictions on this list, I really hope she got this one wrong. But this one, however, I really hope she got right, as Baba Vanga has predicted that world hunger will be over by the year 2025. So that's coming up real soon. How? I have no clue whatsoever, but in an incredibly unstable world with an incredibly unstable future, it's nice to hear this kind of thing coming out of the mouth of a woman who has, in the past, predicted the future with over 80% accuracy. While world hunger has gone down significantly since the 1980s, we still have a long way to go in solving the issue worldwide. Increased agricultural productivity and the promotion of sustainable food systems will most likely be integral components in reaching this goal, but if we want it done by 2025, like Baba Vanga predicts, we better act fast. Okay, this next point is pretty positive too. By 2046, Baba Vanga has predicted that organ donations and organ transplant technologies will become so incredibly advanced that they will expand the average lifespan to more than 100 years. Which means that in 2046 and onwards, centennials, people who live to or past 100 years of age, will become the rule rather than the exception. Considering the incredible advancements we have already made in medicine so far, paired with the prediction of a cure for cancer coming out in 2024, I'm incredibly hopeful. Cautious, but hopeful. Again, these treatments will probably cost upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars, so like I said, cautious, but hopeful. Next up, the return of communism, which Baba Vanga has predicted will take place in the year 2076. The arguments both for and against communism are plenty and constantly changing as the definition of communism changes to adapt advancements in technology, human rights policies, military medicine, etc. So honestly, it's hard to tell whether or not this return of communism will fall under any kind of modern day definition of communism, or how it will play out in a world full of automated labor. So I guess all I have to say is that while Baba Vanga did predict the return of communism, we have no way of knowing what that will look like, I think. And finally, to finish off our list today, we have Baba Vanga's prediction of some pretty major solar activity that could have some pretty serious consequences for Earth. The prediction was set for 2023, and it came true in 2023. On December 15th of 2023, it was reported that a NASA telescope had captured the biggest solar flare the world has seen in years. A solar flare that was responsible for temporarily knocking out radio communications across the globe. The solar flare was accompanied by a massive radio burst that caused a full 2 hours of radio interference in the United States and other areas of the world facing the sun at the time of the solar flare. The event went down in history as being one of the largest solar radio events to ever be recorded. So again, it seems Baba Vanga got it right, which makes me very, very, very nervous. But what do you think? Lucky guess, or was the woman seriously onto something?
And we're starting off the list with quantum computing. So unlike traditional computers, which use bits that are either 0 or 1, quantum computing uses qubits, which can represent any combination of both 0 and 1 at the very same time. This means they can perform complex calculations much quicker than the computers we use right now. Baba Vanga predicted breakthroughs in this technology playing out in 2024. Now, quantum computing isn't inherently bad, and it's definitely useful for solving complex problems, but there's a dangerous side to this type of technology. The major concern here is its potential ability to break encryption methods that we use day to day. Sensitive data could be leaked with far more ease than any hacker would be able to accomplish. Authentication systems that we have in place now could also become completely obsolete, leading to potential breaches and cyber attacks. More on cyber attacks later in the video, by the way. And at number 9, we have a global economic crisis. Baba Vanga made a prediction that in 2024 the world might face a massive economic crash. This means a lot of money troubles, people losing jobs, businesses struggling to stay open, and it becoming incredibly difficult for many to manage their money. A giant financial storm that could affect how we all live and work. And as to the cause of this economic crisis, well, we're not certain, as these are simply unfounded predictions not based on evidence or anything really tangible. But if some of the stuff coming up on this list really does play out, it won't be much of a surprise why money will be an issue for a large segment of the population. Now, on top of that, money would be the least of our problems. One possible cause of the global economic downfall could be related to the very next prediction on our list, though. At our number 8 spot, we have a global disease. The prediction here is that there will be a worldwide epidemic similar to that little thing we experienced back in 2020, only this time much, much worse. During these wonderful couple years where we were in and out of being locked away indoors and wearing masks everywhere we went, there was this idea floating around that maybe this whole thing was preparing us for something bigger, a pandemic that would be more deadly, more contagious, and spread around the world faster than anything we had ever experienced before. Whether this will be some intentional virus spread to enact, political control or something nature will throw at us. If this prediction does end up coming true and we are met with some kind of terrifying super virus, I just really hope we're prepared. There's also a chance that Baba just got our dates wrong and this global infectious disease already swept its way through the population in 2020 and it's all mostly dealt with. It's also possible that her prediction is just completely bogus, so keep your pants on. Next up on the list we have the mysterious disease. Now this prediction directly affects the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. According to old Baba, Trump is going to contract a mysterious illness next year that will cause brain trauma and deafness. Can't help but wonder if this will be the result of the same disease that we just discussed. Sounds pretty awful though. Not sure what the brain damage would entail, but losing your hearing, definitely something I would not wish on anyone. Number 6, a strong dragon will take over the planet. Baba Vanga spoke of a formidable dragon that would rise to prominence, and as cool as it would be for the Earth to be ruled by a winged, fire-breathing monster, she didn't mean dragon in the mythical sense. Instead, this quote-unquote dragon is a symbol of unity and power. This dragon, according to her visions, represents the coming together of Russia, India, and China, 3 major global players. What she essentially foresaw was this significant geopolitical development where these nations would forge a closer alliance and cooperate, forming a powerful bloc. And while she didn't really delve into the specifics about what this alliance would entail, the implications are pretty clear. The emergence of a powerful force that could totally reshape the political landscape of the world as we know it. This change in power could also potentially lead to another prediction that's been hinted at for 2024, a potential third world war, as said. Not fun to think about. Next up, we have the rise of AI. Apparently in 2024, the use of AI is going to skyrocket, completely changing the world as we know it. Out of pretty much everything on this list, this is something I can totally see happening because it already is. AI is progressing at an alarming rate, learning faster than any living person ever could. It's getting to the point where scientists are actually kind of concerned about AI gaining some form of sentience, and if that happens, we're most likely totally screwed. Not because AI would necessarily be intentionally malevolent and want to destroy us like Skynet, although it totally could, but mainly because it could easily replace us. Human expression, talent, and skill could become a thing of the past. Like, just look how quickly AI has already affected some industries. Writers and actors are on strike, animators and artists are fearing losing their jobs. I find AI really creepy, and I'm just hoping we're gonna find some way of integrating it in a way where it won't completely get out of control. At our number 4 spot, we have first contact with alien life. The Nostradamus of the Balkans predicted that extraterrestrials will finally make themselves known to us next year. Known to the public, anyway, if you're one of those folks who believes aliens are already amongst us. Introducing us to incredible new technology and changing the world as we know it, of course. Now, this could actually be positive. If they turn out to be friendly, this would be awesome. One step closer to that Star Trek world I've always wanted to live in. But if they're not so friendly, actually though, gotta say, if there's one way I'd want the world to end, it would be this. I think it would be pretty cool. Going out battling aliens, be a much more awesome way for humanity to go extinct. Definitely beats the planet being destroyed by a giant meteor or something. That's just kind of boring. Far less heroic. Maybe being invaded by aliens would finally force humanity to come together for once, too, realizing that we're not all that different after all. Sucks we'd need an alien invasion for that to come to fruition, but it is what it is, I guess. Next, we have a rise in natural disasters. Apparently, 2024 is going to be met with a number of crazy disasters, mostly due to climate change. Tsunamis, monsoons, hurricanes, tornadoes, you name it. These disasters are predicted to cause widespread destruction and death. One specific prophecy relates to a powerful tsunami that will apparently hit Asia next year, being the most deadly since 2004. As to exactly where in Asia, not certain. Neither is the prediction, though. It's just that, it's a prediction. So for all the residents of Asia in the audience, don't panic yet. Take this with a grain of salt, a very heavy grain of salt. There's also predicted to be a major earthquake in the Pacific Rim, the shifting of tectonic plates in the Pacific Rim. We can have giant kaiju pop out of the ocean that we'll need to build giant-sized mechs in order to battle against. That would be pretty expensive. Could lead to a global economic collapse. Yeah, you see the dots starting to connect. And at number 2, we have chaos in Europe. Yeah, apparently Europe is going to go through a lot starting in 2024. You folks have some fun years ahead of you if Baba's predictions actually play out. Most of this relates to religious extremists unleashing more attacks on various parts of the continent, targeting both civilians and political leaders alike, one of whom is Vladimir Putin. Apparently someone from Russia is going to attempt to take him out. According to her, in the end, power will completely change hands in Europe. And it's not just that. Her predictions also stated that there would be a complete collapse of Europe's economy. All this will supposedly lead to displacement of many Europeans, with the continent being sparsely populated by 2025. So, word to the wise, may want to hold off on your European vacations for the next little while, because it looks like things are going to get pretty hairy. Finally, we have a rise in cyber attacks. Vanga's vision of 2024 paints a pretty bleak picture of the digital realm, essentially becoming a battlefield, with malicious hackers orchestrating cyber assaults on an unprecedented scale. These attacks will apparently extend far beyond conventional data breaches and phishing attempts. Instead, they'll come about as like this sophisticated and highly destructive attacks that could compromise critical infrastructure, financial systems, even the fabric of society itself. Vanga hinted that these cyber threats might have geopolitical implications, potentially altering the balance of power in the world as we know it today. There are some predictions that overlap here, as you could probably see. Quantum computing could be a major factor with this increase in cyber attacks, and the change of power on a global scale could be related to that strong dragon mentioned earlier. These cyber attacks could also partially be responsible for how messed up Europe is predicted to get. But I want to close this out with a bit of positivity. First of all, although Baba Vanga has made a number of predictions that have come true, she's also made ones that haven't. And for all the dark stuff here that's said to play out, there's some good stuff too. Apparently we might get incredible medical breakthroughs for things like cancer. We may discover a new form of unlimited clean energy and good things in the years following 2024. And we're starting things off with the rising of sea levels. Climate change is something that's talked about a lot and has been a concern for years. A rise in natural disasters is one of the primary predictions by Baba Vanga, said to possibly come to a head in 2024, with a rise in sea levels being a major factor. It's a concerning issue that happens because of things like melting ice in polar regions and the expansion of seawater as it gets warmer. Over the years, the rising water can lead to problems like coastal flooding, erosion, and damage to communities near the coast. It's not something that happens overnight, but it's a slow and steady process. Many coastal areas and low-lying islands are at risk, and people living there might have to move or adapt to deal with higher water levels. Governments and scientists around the world are studying this problem and trying to figure out how to address it. They're looking at ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to slow down the warming of the planet, and also thinking about building stronger defenses like seawalls and flood barriers. At number 9, we have the asteroid, a list of dark predictions with an asteroid involved. Definitely ominous. Fear not though, this one won't be as bad as the one that killed off all the dinosaurs. The prediction doesn't specify exactly where this asteroid will hit or exactly how large it will be, but it's predicted to be powerful and destructive enough to result in a considerable loss of life. But as I said, it doesn't mean the end of the world. Baba Vanga has tons of predictions that go far beyond 2024. In fact, according to her, the world isn't supposed to end until 5079, so we still have some time, depending on whether or not you believe her, of course. The world could totally end far past 5079, or it could end in like 5 minutes. You'd never know. Next on the list, we have unethical surveillance. Now, this is something that's already taking place. We have cameras on us almost everywhere we go, and we may not even know it, but advances in surveillance technology are supposedly going to skyrocket in the coming year. The rise in unethical surveillance technology is a growing concern. Here you have the development of tools and systems for monitoring people without their consent or knowledge. This technology can include invasive tracking devices, hidden cameras, and software that collects personal data without your permission. There's such a potential for stuff like this to be misused. Some would argue, most would probably argue, that it very much already is being misused. Governments, corporations, everyday individuals have a greater access to personal information than ever and could use it for purposes that violate ethical standards. Unwarranted spying on individuals, mass data collection without consent. Just look at all the ads you get on Google just based on things you've talked about with a friend. It's creepy. Or, the use of surveillance to discriminate or target specific groups could even be a thing. The consequences of unethical surveillance technology can be pretty severe. It could lead to breaches of personal privacy, erosion of trust, and potential harm to individuals and society as a whole. At our number 7 spot, we have a change in Earth's orbit. Now we're getting into some of the more outlandish predictions, but I'm here for it, and so are you, because you're watching me talk about it. Now, as to exactly what degree the orbit is predicted to change or how, it's uncertain, but this could obviously have some pretty dramatic consequences. Our planet is in a very fine balance, and even just the slightest change could throw things off completely. We could see huge disasters hit the planet, and again, one of Baba's big 2024 predictions is a higher level of natural disasters, so maybe they come about as a result of this shift. If Earth were to move closer to the sun, you would see a huge spike in temperatures and radiation at the other end of the spectrum, too far from the sun, and we could easily have another ice age on our hands, like the likes of which would be worse than the Earth has ever seen. Speaking of the sun though, at number 6 we have the solar storm. Baba Vanga predicted that we would experience a terrible solar storm in 2024, the worst in history. Solar storms occur when bursts of energy are emitted from the sun, releasing electrical charges, magnetic fields, and radiation out into the solar system. Usually these storms don't greatly affect us here on Earth, but if one happened to be particularly massive, it could have some pretty severe consequences. Technology could be disrupted, there could be massive blackouts, and if these were bad enough to cause lasting damage, it could lead to the economic issues she also predicted, as well as chaos, as people have become pretty reliant on technology and electrical power in our everyday lives. Some of you are definitely not old enough to remember the massive Northeast blackout of 2003, but it was pretty freaky. It affected 55 million people in 8 US states and parts of Ontario, Canada. It was hard to keep food cool. The subway system was of course down. People were, lighting candles and reading. Honestly, some of it was kind of nice, a time to pause and actually reflect on how much we take everyday necessities for granted while actually going out and doing stuff besides watching TV into the late hours of the night. But had it gone on longer, things could have started getting bad very quickly. Coming in at number 5, we have bioweapons research. According to the Nostradamus of the Balkans, there will be some very dark research taking place in regards to bioweapons. As to where this research will take place, it isn't specified, just that a big country will be carrying out the research in the form of unethical experimentation on people. These experiments could lead to the loss of life on a huge scale. Now, of course, this would all be going on in secret, so verifying something like this could prove to be a bit of a difficult task. Biological warfare has to be one of the scariest forms of warfare out there to me is something you just don't see coming, almost impossible to fight against, causing mass hysteria in its wake. Definitely hope this one it doesn't come true, along with everything else on this list, obviously, but especially this one. Next up, we have a really weird one with the end of births. This is some of the sillier stuff that makes me much more skeptical of all the other predictions Baba Vanga has made. Apparently, 2024 will see a full-on end to natural births. That's quite a bold prediction. Hard to see this one coming to fruition within the next year. Distant future? Possibly, but not anytime soon. Apparently there could be a ban on natural births, with humans being grown in labs instead. Gene editing technology could come into play here, a technology that's well into development already, allowing parents to choose what genetic traits their child would be born with. Again, I have a hard time seeing this one play out anytime soon. Gene editing, sure, but an outright ban on natural births? I don't know. At least not on a global scale. Then again though, maybe she wasn't talking about it happening on a global scale. Maybe this will only affect one country, for example. At number 3, we have augmented humans. 2024 is predicted to see a rise in technology that allows human beings to replace parts of their body with cybernetic implants. We already have technology like this, and it's great for people who were born without important body parts or lost them, but this type of technology also has the potential to get out of hand. When we start integrating technology into our bodies, there are concerns about privacy and security. Imagine if hackers could access your augmented body parts, or if the data from these enhancements was exploited somehow. It could lead to identity theft or other malicious activities. There's also the risk of inequality. Everyone might not have access to these enhancements, creating a divide between those who can afford them and those who can't. This would only make that gap between the haves and have-nots even wider. Another concern is dependence on technology. If we were to start relying too much on these enhancements, we might lose some of our natural abilities and skills. What if the technology fails or becomes obsolete? We could find ourselves in a pretty vulnerable position. Ethical questions arise as well. What happens when we enhance our cognitive abilities? Will it create unfair advantages in education or out in the job world? And when it comes to physical enhancements, should athletes be allowed to use them in sports? There are some deep philosophical dilemmas here. When we merge with machines, what does it even mean to be a human? Might lose touch with our humanity or create a society where being normal means having artificial enhancements. It's a lot to think about. And at number 2, we have the environmental destructor. Yeah, that doesn't sound very nice. Sounds like some sort of comic book superweapon that instantly freezes anything in its path. Well, apparently that's exactly what it is, except this won't happen in a comic book, it'll happen in real life. Yeah, we're getting kooky here again, but I'm just gonna embrace it and imagine that this could actually be a thing. According to Baba Vanga, the United States will be caught up in a war resulting in the development of a highly advanced weapon, a weapon that freezes things. I can see the ice-based pun memes now when this thing gets revealed to the public, and then everyone will start protesting that they have the right to have their own high-powered freezing weapon in their own homes, and I'd probably understand it. I'd want one too. Finally, we have the bird virus. Apparently some mysterious illness isn't only going to be potentially hitting human beings in 2024, but the birds as well. What birds? What virus? We don't know, but it could have quite an effect on our planet. Birds play a pretty big role in the ecosystem. If this virus was bad enough, it could spread to other animals as well, predators who eat birds, and maybe even human beings. Or the result of said virus could be zombie-like, get deranged birds swooping down from the sky to exact ruthless aggression against the non-flying animals of the earth. We could have a real-life version of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds on our cybernetic hands, but with all our unethical surveillance, we'd see them coming from miles away anyway, at least. And with our brand new environmental destructor weapons, we could freeze them in midair.
At number 10 is the rise of Marxism. One of our predictions that got people on edge is the collapse of the social caste system, leading to Marxism Marxist socialism. Now that sounds pretty intense, doesn't it? Let's break it down. The social caste system is like this invisible ranking in society where some people have much more power and privilege than others just because of where they were born and their background, essentially nepotism. But Baba Vanga is saying that this whole thing could crumble and we might end up with a system called Marxist socialism. It's a way of organizing things where everybody shares the wealth more equally. Now here's the thing, Marxism sounds cool in theory, but history has had some dark chapters tied to it. Communism, the big idea behind Marxism, has been tried before. The idea that everyone gets the same slice of cake, which seems fair, but it never ends up working that way. When countries go full communist, leaders take crazy control and individual freedoms take a hit. Just take a look at the Soviet Union or Mao's China. Hundreds of millions suffered and perished and things got pretty bleak. Switching to Marxist socialism might sound like a fix, but it could bring some big problems. Think limited choices, total government control over what you do, and fewer incentives to actually work hard. It's like taking a massive gamble with everybody's freedom. Let's just hope Baba Vanga's off the mark with this one. And number 9 is a virus that ages you. In a world where a virus isn't just a flu or a cold, but something that actually ages you in mere seconds. That's a chilly prediction made by Baba Vanga for 2024, and it's nothing short of terrifying. Picture waking up one morning feeling perfectly fine, only to finding your skin wrinkling, your hair graying, and body weakening rapidly before your very eyes. It's the stuff nightmares are made of. The thought of a virus that accelerates aging is scary because it's something we've never experienced. We're used to illnesses that make us sick for a while, but this prediction takes it to a whole new level. It's a reminder about how fragile life can be and how unpredictable the future is. Now, while predictions like this may seem far-fetched, they make us reflect on our vulnerability and the importance of staying vigilant about health and scientific advancements. If you're enjoying the video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. And number 8, Europe becomes Muslim. The predictions for 2024 from Baba Vanga are pretty intense, especially about the one about a big war. She said there'll be this great Muslim war that could lead to millions of people becoming unalived. Pretty scary. Like a massive conflict causing so much loss. But then she goes on to say that Europe will end up being in a bad shape because of this war, like almost empty. Talking about Muslims invading and taking over Europe, leaving it with way fewer people living there by 2025. Predictions like these can be pretty alarming, but it's important to remember that they're just predictions. Sometimes they come true, but other times they don't. So while it's good to be aware of what's being said, it's also good to take it with a little grain of salt. Because things can change and people can work together to prevent bad stuff from happening. The environmental destructor. There's this wild prediction about the US facing some intense situation while Rome is under Islamic control. It's like a scene from a movie, but even scarier because she talks about this weapon called the environmental destructor. It essentially freezes anything it touches instantly. Some pretty sci-fi stuff. If that comes true, it could be a game changer in warfare. Imagine the power it could hold, but at the same time, it's pretty terrifying to think about. The thought of something that could freeze things in an instant is enough to send shivers down your spine. I mean, could help with global warming though, so that's a plus. At number 6, China becomes the next global superpower. If the US loses its top spot, it could trigger a massive economic crisis. Right now, the US dollar reigns supreme in global trade, keeping the economy stable, but China aims to change that by replacing it with their currency, the yuan. I think I pronounced that right. This move could shrink the US economy by 2% in a snap, leading to job losses and soaring import prices. China also wants to rewrite history, shaping the global views of their past leaders and events. They're eyeing control over movies, using them as propaganda tools as well. Japan's uneasy about China's rise given their unresolved past conflicts. If Japan resists, China might sideline them. Taiwan faces pressure too as China demands their return under their rule, hinting at military action if necessary. This rise to power may not stay peaceful. China's currently building a powerful military, gearing up for potential conflicts, possibly leading to a new Cold War, or worse, a destructive showdown with the US. That made it worse. Alright. At number 5 is synthetic organs. Imagine a future where synthetic organs are all over the place, just like picking up groceries at a store. Sounds cool, right? I mean, but wait, it gets pretty eerie because she predicts that transplants will become a normal thing, like everyone's getting them like it's a new fad, swapping out organs like it's no big deal. Now that might sound convenient, but it also raises some serious ethical questions. Are we playing with nature too much? Are we ready for a world where swapping out body parts is as common as getting a new iPhone? Baba Vanga's crystal ball seems to think so, but let's hope this prediction stays in the realm of speculation because that future might be a bit too freaky for comfort. And number 4 is the cosmic vacuum energy. Baba Vanga's 2024 predictions talk about something wild. Something called cosmic vacuum energy. Imagine plugging into space itself for power. Sounds super sci-fi, but she said it would be real. This tech could change the game, making clean energy like nothing we've seen before. Think about it. No more need to pollute the earth for power. It's like literally generating energy from thin air, but instead of thin air, it's the vacuum of space. If this happens, it would mean huge things for how we live. We may not need to worry about running out of power anymore. Like unlocking an unlimited energy cheat code for the world. But hey, predictions are tricky. We've got to wait around another year to see if this one turns real or if it's just another idea that didn't quite pan out. At number 3, interspecies communication. Imagine a world where we could talk to animals like Mr. Doolittle. Well, in 2024, things might just get a bit wilder. Baba Vanga foretold some eyebrow-raising stuff, and one spooky forecast involves a global animal communication breakthrough. Yeah, I'm talking about telepathic chats with critters. Picture chatting away with your dog about treats, or understanding a dolphin's squeaks. It sounds pretty cool, right? I did not mean for that to rhyme, but I'm so glad it did. But hold on to your horses, because this power could be a double-edged sword. Understanding animal feelings might shake things up, as we could learn heartbreaking truths about their suffering or needs that we're ignoring. Now, on the bright side, it might help us protect endangered species by understanding their woes, but still, it's spooky thinking about the unknowns this communication could bring. So while it's exciting to imagine chatting with furry pals, we might want to hope Vanga missed the mark on this one. At number 2 is alien invasion. Imagine this, in the not so distant future of 2024, Baba Vanga foresees something that sounds both thrilling and terrifying. She predicts that humanity will finally encounter advanced aliens from far beyond our solar system. Now, according to her predictions, they thankfully won't come here to destroy us or take over the planet or anything like that. No, they'll arrive as peace-loving ambassadors. Now, the scary part isn't their actual arrival, but what might happen next. These extraterrestrial beings are said to bring mind-blowing technology and wisdom that could change the world, possibly even that vacuum energy tech from earlier. But here's the catch. Such a colossal shift could disrupt our societies in ways we couldn't even fathom. It might create chaos or throw off the balance we're used to. This prediction, though exciting, also carries a heavy load of uncertainty. Are we ready for this kind of encounter? Only time will tell, and it's both thrilling and nerve-wracking to think about. And coming in at number 1 is self-aware artificial intelligence. The mystic lady from the past predicted something spooky about robots, because she said that in 2024, these super smart robots might suddenly wake up and realize that they exist. Okay, maybe not exactly like that, but you get the picture. It's like in the movies when machines start thinking for themselves. Here's the thing, if this prediction turns true, we could face some big ethical and moral debates about whether these conscious robots should be given, I don't know, the same rights as human beings perhaps? People might argue about whether it's right or wrong for these machines to be as smart as us or maybe even smarter. And there could be risks involved too, you know, like what if they decide to, I don't know, they don't need us anymore and start launching missiles like in Terminator 3. That would be pretty scary. Like robots doing their own thing, making their own choices, it's quite a wild thought. Let's just hope this prediction doesn't become reality for at least another little while longer.